Hey, everybody. So I just wanted to take some time today to talk about something so we just got off of Thanksgiving weekend. It was a 4-day weekend. And for many people, it didn't go as planned. um, so that's what I'm seeing today. Like I've been on, since I woke up this morning and hopped on Instagram and Facebook, the common theme is I didn't do what I intended to do over Thanksgiving weekend. So there are tons of people talking about how they went off plan for Thanksgiving, that they were out of control, that they did not do what they intended to do. And so this is not uncommon. Like I expected to see this. I've had a couple of my own clients also, they went off plan. Even though we talked about like how, Thanksgiving was going to go prior to it arriving, we made a plan, and still a couple of my clients made the wrong choices and they regret it. So when I say made the wrong choices, I'm saying that they fully admit that they did the wrong thing for themselves. That's not a judgment. There are people who fully intended to go off plan, and for whatever reason they don't regret it. Maybe because they don't really, maybe they don't have a food addiction. Maybe they don't have serious issues with food and they were able to get like right back on track. But I know many people are struggling today. Usually, so there's a lot of people that have been off track since Halloween. They let Halloween derail them. And now, and Thanksgiving is kind of the next the second best time to get off plan for people, and it's the beginning of the end for many people. There are some people who went off track for the holiday and they are right back on, and they'll be fine. And then there's people who are going to be derailed until January, and for some people even later. We see this, at the Keto Evangelist coaching team, we see this every year. People get off track, they go against what they intended, and it goes out of control. So why does this happen? So for the simple answer, and people don't like it, is addiction. A lot of people have a huge problem with the word addiction because they're picturing something really horrible. And we have this vision in our head of what it means for a person to be an addict, and we look at other people and we're like, hey, well, I'm not like that person, or I'm not over 500 pounds, or I haven't done this or that, so I'm not an addict. But if you get out of control with something, if you lose control, if you wake up for the day and you set your intention as, I'm not going to do this thing today, yet before the day is over, you do the thing, that is a problem. And so what happens is we all have this voice of sabotage in our head. And, one of the sneaky things about the voice of sabotage is it speaks to us in our own voice. And so we think that we have made a conscious decision to go off plan, even though we woke up that morning and we set an intention that said, okay, today I'm not going to do X, Y, Z. But then somewhere along, the way during the day, the voice creeps in and says something, a lie that we believe, even though we have a track record of not following through. So for example, the voice, so Thursday, for many people, they woke up Thursday morning, they're like, I'm going to have a keto Thanksgiving, I'm going to have a carnivore Thanksgiving, I'm not going to go off plan. But then family starts to arrive, somebody shows up with a dessert and that you weren't expecting to see. And somewhere along, during that time, the voice says, come on, it's Thanksgiving. Nobody diets on Thanksgiving. Are you really not going to have the pie? Are you really not going to eat mashed potatoes? It's tradition. Come on, live a little. It's a holiday. And we say, yeah, you know what? I do need a break. I've been so good. I've been, I haven't been off plan for months. My appetite's, diminish. I can do this. I'm just going to have one piece or one bite. But it's never one piece. It's never one bite. For those people that can have one piece and have one bite and move on with their life and never think twice about it, they are moderators. They can do that. But if you intend to have one piece and one bite and that's not what happens because you lose control or you decide you're going to eat more, you most likely have an addiction issue. I know that that's hard for people to accept, but you know what? Acceptance is one of the first steps on the road to recovery. I personally, I have to abstain. I am not capable of having one piece of pie. I am not capable of eating one cookie. One is too many, 10 is not enough. I lose control. There are thousands of people like me. But not everyone has come to the place of acceptance that we have to live differently than other people. If I want true freedom from obsession with food, if I don't want to be controlled by food or be a slave to food or be ruled by food, then I have to abstain, because taking the first bite is the beginning of the end. And the obsession grows. So to be truly free for me means to abstain. I don't have an issue abstaining. The battle comes in, and the struggle is with trying to moderate something that I have clearly had a track record of not being able to do. I know that many people desperately want to be moderators. I've talked about this before, but moderator doesn't have to try to be a moderator. A moderator, it happens naturally. It's just how they live. But if you have to have the thought, I'm only going to have one piece, and then you are battling, sticking to that vow to have one piece, then you're not a moderator. Or let's say the first day you do have one piece, but there's leftover, and then you're eating it every day until it's gone. That's a problem. Maybe you say, or maybe you have that first bite and then you're like, so then the voice comes in and says, look, you already ate a bite, you might as well eat the whole thing. So the problem, the abuse from the voice of sabotage, like, piles on. So we do one little thing, like we have one bite, but then the voice shows up and says, hey, you already blew it. You had a bite. You went off plan. You said you weren't going to eat anything. So now you might as well eat it all. And it's this vicious cycle that we, stay stuck in. So abstinence is what I personally have to stick to. And many people need to do it that way to succeed long term, but they aren't convinced of that. The thought of being abstinent makes them anxious and maybe even angry. And that angry, anxious feeling comes in not because you're a moderator, but because you can't picture life without this, whatever, fill in the blank. For me, it was cheesecake and Hershey bars, all those things. Like, I could never picture my life not eating those things. But I finally, there's lots of things that happen, but one major thing is it's just food. And if you have ever made the statement, oh, well, I couldn't live without fill in the blank, you really need to examine, what defines your quality of life. Like, for me, there is no food that's worth giving up everything that I've gained the last 5.5 years just for a temporary taste. It's not worth it. Like, it's only food. And how many times do I have to have something in my life before I feel like would be missing out? Like, a lot of people, they get that FOMO, the fear of missing out. Well, if I don't have the pumpkin pie at Thanksgiving, I'm missing out. Well, what are you missing out on exactly? I'll tell you what I'm missing out on. I'm missing out on fat pants. I'm missing out on diabetes meds, high blood sugar, feeling like crap, bloat, depression, asthma, allergies, psoriasis, depression, all those things. That's what I'm missing out on. If I were to give in to the pie, all of those things would come roaring back because ultimately my behavior is going to send me down that road because I'm incapable of having just one piece of pie. So, we have to have that acceptance that we have to live differently from other people. We cannot be something that we're not. If we've attempted to moderate over and over and over again, then we're not moderators. And I know that's, it's really tough for a lot of people. We're not going to become a moderator no matter how badly we want to. We can think so strongly in our mind that, we've got this, we have a plan, we even write it out, we start new journals, we start calendars, we vow, we go and make a post on Instagram, we do all these things to convince ourselves and others that this is our plan and we're sticking to it. But the voice of sabotage always comes in and we buy the lie over and over and over and get derailed. And so I know many of you have probably heard the phrase, when you do the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, it's the definition of insanity. And it's true. When we're addicted to something and we keep attempting to moderate and we believe we can moderate, it's the delusion that's part of the addiction. We can't imagine living without this thing, and so therefore we convince ourselves that there's got to be a way to include it. So many today, this is Monday after Thanksgiving, are attempting to undo what they did over the weekend. I'm seeing all kinds of posts and Instagram stories about, okay, I'm going to do an egg fast because I ate like a jerk and that's their words. I'm not saying you're a jerk if you ate traditional Thanksgiving food. There's people on Instagram saying, I ate like a total jerk over the weekend. And so here's what I'm doing. I'm fasting now for 3 days, or I'm doing an egg fast, or I'm going to hit the gym hard this week. That is bulimic mentality. That is disordered behavior. When you attempt to undo something, which you're binging over, if you binged over the last 4 days, you can't undo it. There's no undoing it. The best thing for you to do is to get right back on track. Just right back into 20 grams of carbs or less per day, or right back to carnivore, whatever it is that you were doing before. You just start doing that again. There's no shortcut. There's no magic pill. There's no quick fix. And it's in fact disordered behavior to try to undo or minimize the damage of the last 4 days. It's an unhealthy mindset. It's going to keep you enslaved to your addiction. Again, just, get right back on track and maybe consider that abstinence is what you need to follow. A lot of people, once they had the first bite, prior to taking the first bite, they weren't hungry. They were feeling very satisfied. But they took the first bite and they went off the rails, because that's all it took was to get that taste to trigger the addiction. So another thing I want to address is guard yourself against those that lead you to addiction. I was very disheartened to see that there are some major influencers. I hate that word, but that's, I guess, what people who have a following on social media are called influencers. There's some major influencers that prior to Thanksgiving were talking about what they were going to do. And there's and there's even challenges, out there to get back into ketosis, get back on track. The assumption was that prior to Thanksgiving, you were going to go off plan, that you were going to have a cheat meal or 10, and eat all the left. They assumed that was what's going to happen. And so now, they're talking about getting back into ketosis because the holiday knocked you out. And it was pre-planned. Can you imagine the outrage if this same type of promotion or assumption or encouragement was made towards recovering alcoholics or drug addicts? Imagine they said, oh, it's Thanksgiving. We know you're going to drink. So down all that beer, drink the vodka, go ahead and shoot up. And Monday will be all about helping you get back on track. It's so frustrating because food addiction is not taken seriously. Food addiction is killing people. And I know some of people are going to roll their eyes. There are people who don't believe food addiction is real. I don't care. It is. It is real. People are obese. They have all kinds of health problems because they're obese or because they eat the wrong foods and they eat it in excess. I mean, heart disease, fatty liver, type 2 diabetes, dementia, depression, all these things are because of diet, because the food that's being eaten greatly impacts our health. And so it's not taken seriously, and it needs to be. And if society isn't going to take it seriously, if social media isn't going to take it seriously, you have to. You have to take it seriously. I had to be my own best advocate, and I had to change the way I was doing things if I was ever going to get well. If I just constantly tried to do what other people did because it worked for them, and I did that for so long. I tried to do what everybody said to do, and I kept failing over and over and over. So just, be careful about who you listen to and be honest with yourself. Like, ask yourself, what's my track record? Have I ever just had one bite? Have I ever just eaten off plan one meal or one day, or has it always led to more? Has it always been the beginning of the end and led me back to weight gain? Anything that leads you back to your addiction should be eliminated. Anyway, so I just wanted to I know it's not a popular opinion. I know many people struggle with the idea that they have an eating disorder, that they may be addicted to food and to sugar. I know many really just think that it's a matter of discipline and they just need to get their act together. They just need willpower, and they put the blame on those things instead of what it is. And that's that many of us have an emotional dysfunctional relationship with food. We abuse food. And we use it to soothe, we use it to entertain, we use it to comfort, we use it for reward, instead of using it for what it's intended, to fuel our bodies and to give us proper nutrition so that we can function in our daily life. If your life revolves around food, that's no way to live. If you want to be free from the obsession with food and numbers, the scale and macros and all of that, you have to first and foremost address the reasons why you have a dysfunctional relationship with food to begin with. How did you get to the place that you're in that you desperately want to be out of? The root cause has to be addressed. And keto and carnivore is a great tool. It's not in and of itself is not going to fix your eating disorder. You have to get to the root. But being keto and carnivore helps clear that brain fog and gives you the wherewithal to be able to do the mental work that's required to recover. So you can continue to battle by trying to be something you're not, or you can eliminate the battle altogether by stop trying to moderate something that you've proven over and over again that you can't moderate. So if you are one of those people that this weekend derailed you, it doesn't have to keep going. It can end today. You don't have to believe the lie that says, oh, it's the holiday season. You've been so good. Just take a break, enjoy the holidays, and you'll get back on track in January. But January could come and you could be 10, 15, 20 pounds heavier, and you're not going to be happy about it come January 1st. So stop the madness now. Get a grip and get back on track today. Don't wait. You can do it. I'm happy to, if anyone wants to message me questions, I get questions all the time. If you want to message me questions about it, or you have something specific that you want to share or ask about, please do. But know that this weekend doesn't have to continue to derail you. It can end now.